5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sir, I have carefully heard the submissions that have been made to the House by my honorable friend. I thought that he would make a long speech, but he kept on elaborating only 2 points, namely that in the first place the ordinance should not have been issued, and secondly the Press Council was doing good work. Honorable members of this House are well aware that in this very House, when the Press Council Act came for amendment a few months back, there was a severe criticism of the working of the Press Council from all sections of this House. Apart from that, the opinion in the press circles has been almost unanimous that this Press Council has not been able to discharge the functions for which it was conceived. I will in a short way recall the history of the events by which this Press Council came into existence. A bill was passed into an act by this House which was called the Press Objectionable Matter Act, and during the currency of this act the Second Press Commission met, and after considering various things expressed the hope that probably by the establishment of the Press Council this kind of act would become unnecessary. They did not question the necessity of act. They did not also disputed the reasons why that act was brought into being, but they expressed the hope that self-regulation would probably be a better way of attempting to achieve the aims which that act sought to achieve. Therefore, while the Press Commission's report was considered by the government, two main considerations were pronounced, and they were firstly that the Press Council that was going to be set up would be able to achieve a kind of consensus among the pressmen, particularly for the journalists, and secondly that they would be able to pile up a voluminous case law which would act as a guidance to various sections of the press, so that all the unhealthy tendencies that were noticed right from the start of our independence, when communal and provocative writings which went directly against the spirit of the democracy were coming forth and were being encouraged by various vested interests, could be controlled. It is a well-known fact, and it does not require reiteration of any kind, that the code of conduct was not evolved. A code of conduct for the pressmen has nothing to do with and cannot even remotely be compared with codifying the privileges of this honorable